Welcome to Spirited Investigations, and welcome to the Haunted History of Iowa. This list of 10 is part of a playlist of gentle listening, spooky collections from across the USA. The screen fades to black so you can enjoy the stories without distractions. Please do consider a like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. First is likely the most famous house in Iowa, the Villisca Axe House. Between the evenings of June the 9th, 1912 and the early morning of June 10th, 1912, 6 members of a family as well as their 2 guests were bludgeoned to death, and all had severe head wounds from an axe. After a lengthy investigation with several suspects interviewed, one was even tried twice and acquitted. There are many theories as to who could have carried out the murders, but the case remains unsolved. According to hauntedrooms.com, at 2 a.m. a train regularly passes through the town of Villisca, and it's thought that the whistle or bell of the train triggers the residual events of the murders. Many people have noticed a light fog filling up a bedroom as the train passes. It then moves from one room to another, and perhaps the link would be to a rail worker having something to do with it. Who knows, it's another theory to add to many more. In the 1990s, the home was painstakingly restored by historians Martha and Gavin Lynn at great expense, with the effort being towards appearing exactly like the night of the crime, right down to the lack of electricity or running water. Due to their dedication, the house is now on the National Registry of Historic Places. At number 2 is the Franklin Hotel in Strawberry Point. Dating back to 1903, this fully restored red brick Victorian hotel features a vintage lobby, dining room and staircase. Many claim the 2-story hotel is home to 2 ghosts. One's a woman named Lily who wears a lavender gown and can be heard singing or moaning. She frequents what used to be her room, moving furniture to her preference and walking to and from the lobby. A report from an employee tells of a woman in a lavender dress who was sitting at a table in the bar area within the hotel. When he walked up to her to tell her the bar was closed for the night, she smiled and then suddenly disappeared in front of his eyes. The other ghost is a former merchant known as Leo, who operated the hotel's laundry area for 30 years. He can be heard ringing the hotel's old bell message system. When rooms are checked for whether they have rung the bell, the rooms are empty. Third on our list is the Hazel Green Cemetery in Ackley. With gravestones dating back to the early 1800s, a lot of the history of the cemetery is unknown, but the gazebo seems to be the most haunted location on the property. Along with loud banging and eerie howling from other parts of the cemetery, people have also reported seeing an elderly woman sitting in a rocking chair holding a baby inside the gazebo, evoking great sadness in all who see them. Flowers are sometimes left at the gazebo by those who have seen the 2 spirits there. At number 4 is Stony Hollow Road in Burlington. Though Iowa has a strange collection of haunted roads, this one is known as the scariest one in the state. It's only a short piece of gravel road mostly used by farming machinery within the rural area, but it comes with the story of a woman named Lucinda who reportedly threw herself off a nearby cliff after believing her husband had left her. Tragically, her husband had only been delayed when his wagon had become stuck in mud, and he finally arrived to find her dead. While locals avoid this road at night, it's a popular spot for ghost hunters. It's said that if you say Lucinda's name 3 times, her ghost will appear standing on top of the cliff. But be warned, should she lay a rose at your feet, the legend says you'll meet your demise the following day. Halfway through the list, we have the Farrar Schoolhouse. Delightfully, some of the parts of this story were found on the Amy's Crypt website, who are one of our favourite ghost hunting channels on YouTube. Built in 1921 on donated farmland, the once abandoned schoolhouse sits isolated, except for a 150-year-old cemetery across the street. It closed in 2001, then after 5 years of deterioration, was bought by a local couple. They quickly realised that it may hold more than memories. Voices, slamming doors, shadow people and orbs have commonly appeared. Allegedly, there are 2 paranormal portals on the premises. One is in the former principal's office on the 3rd floor, and the other is in the school's auditorium. A 7-foot-tall shadow man has been seen in the hallways. Also, a small boy has been spotted standing motionless on the stairwell. An unseen figure once helped to steady one of the owners who lost their balance on the stairs. Finally, there's a spirit who's described as being grumpy and unwelcoming, who lurks in the former boiler room. He's speculated to be a former caretaker of the school and features red eyes. At number 6 is the Squirrel Cage Jail in Council Bluffs. The jail is the only 3-story revolving jail to ever be built and is one of only 3 of the type still standing. It was built in 1885 and remained in use until 1969. Today it's a museum and tourist attraction featuring many unexplained occurrences. Part of the reason for it all being so haunted may be due to the terrible mechanism that allowed its cells to rotate. It would often break down and be the source of arms and legs becoming broken when it moved. There's an account of it taking 2 days to get to a man who had died in his cell. One of the Squirrel Cage's ghosts is said to be mass murderer Jake Bird, who was convicted of killing 46 people with an axe or hatchet. At his trial, the killer put the Jake Bird hex on those he saw as involved in punishing him, saying they would die before he did. As the story goes, 6 people suffered, including the judge who died within a month, the court's chief clerk, 2 police officers, and the killer's lawyer who died on the first anniversary of the sentencing. Another resident ghost is said to be of Charles Noel Brown, who went on a 3-day drunken murder spree and was eventually the last man hanged in Iowa in 1962. His noose is on display at the Squirrel Cage Jail. At spot number 7 is the Cresco Theatre, voted to be one of the top 10 haunted theatres in the Midwest. It opened in 1915 and it's still in operation now. Visitors have witnessed what appear to be ghosts of vaudeville performers on the stage, while another lone ghost has been seen sitting in the theatre when the lights are off, disappearing when anyone approaches. More unknown entities have been reported in the basement, where strange electrical disturbances occur and odd sounds and voices are heard when the theatre is empty. At number 8 is Malvern Manor. Built in the 1880s as Malvern's first hotel, the building has since gone through various owners, once running as a nursing home, then becoming a residential care home, before being bought by the current owner. Visitors can see blood spatters on the walls which, when tested, were found to be human blood. Guests have reported seeing and hearing everything from shadow figures and voices to unexplained sounds like moans, screams and footsteps. Who those spirits may be is unknown because although it was a nursing home, reports don't include mistreatment or neglect. Though paranormaldares.com does report that 12-year-old Inez Gibson died by taking their own life in the home. For number 9 we have another manor house, the Edinburgh Manor in Scotch Grove. The Edinburgh Manor property is more than meets the eye. Initially designed as a courthouse, the original building was remodelled in the mid-1800s to be a poor farm, where the poor, disabled and, as was termed at the time, the incurably insane, would perform farm tasks in return for room and board. Because of the dangers of farming back then, a cemetery was added, where 80 former residents are buried. In 1910, the poorhouse was demolished and the Edinburgh Manor was built in its place. The new building housed the elderly and those with extreme mental illnesses and disabilities. Operation of the manor ceased in 2010, but is still open for tours and visits. One of its spirits is called the Joker and is known to be violent, throwing plates across the room and attempting to choke visitors. Accounts also include being choked in the basement, having hair pulled, and hearing children running in the hallways. Finally, the story of Banwell Terror Bridge near Fort Dodge. There are many tales behind this rural bridge, but the most popular is rather gruesome. It's said that a woman brought her children to the bridge to watch the trains pass below. Instead, she threw each child over the bridge railings, watching as they were struck and killed before jumping in front of a train herself. Fort Dodge locals warn against stopping your car on the bridge without locking the doors and windows, as the woman's spirit may try to throw you off. Visitors who are brave enough to exit their vehicles report seeing strange orbs, hearing voices in the woods, or a woman moaning beneath the bridge, and finding strange handprints on their car windows. Thank you for joining us on this little journey from haunted manors to haunted schools. Iowa certainly has some bizarre tales from within the state. I hope you'll be around for the next one.